my personal example, when I had a blocked throat chakra, I got to the point in a situation where I thought I didn't care, so I just stopped communicating. And the result of that was the person on the other end, the relationship, they were confused because they're like, well, I thought we were going to go to the left, and you didn't say don't go left, so I went left. Mm-hmm. And here you are thinking, oh, how stupid, you didn't go right.
But you never communicated.
I didn't communicate anything.
Right.
So, having a blocked throat chakra is not good because it is essentially not exercising your mantra. Again, if your mantra is your saying, your belief, your purpose, your passion, like what energy you're putting out into the universe, you aren't saying or communicating anything to the universe. You're just receiving. I'm just a bowl, a vessel here to catch the drops of rain that fall into my being, versus I'm asking for and calling to the gods to send me this rain so that I may purify myself and everything around me. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the throat chakra is very, very important also because it gets to speaking your truth, honestly communicating your needs, your wants, your desires with others, and hoping and asking that they do the same with you.
Mm-hmm. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Circulate. This is episode 5 of the Tiffany Wilburn series. I'm your host and producer, Gary Martin. Really enjoyed this 2-part episode with Tiffany. The episode goes on for almost an hour, which is why we broke it up into 2 parts. We're talking about the chakras and the importance of balancing the chakras out and how they help you get to enlightenment. We also Tiffany also touches on the importance of the lotus, or the significance of the lotus. And she also touches briefly on some diet tips she would have for you and I when it comes to thinking about our chakras as well. But once again, really enjoyed this episode. And this is episode 5 of the Tiffany Wilburn series. It's a 2-part episode. Enjoy. So far we're at the throat, but you talked about the colors.
Yes.
And the lotus. Why the colors and why the lotus? Why is that? So
the chakras, they correlate with certain colors just based on the teachings that have been passed down. And that's the same with the flowers. So the lotus flower is actually symbolic for yoga because the lotus petal is one of the only flowers that actually exists in muck and mud, and like it's really an unsightly plant under most situations. And so it's a really nice analogy to think of yourself as being this person that exists in this muck and mire and unsightly world, but every day with the rise of the sun, this tiny little bud opens and it blossoms into this beautiful flower, a lotus flower.
And then the more petals you have
It signals the energy transferring up the spine, and once you're at the crown, you've reached enlightenment. Mm-hmm. So as your lotus petals continue to develop, so does your enlightenment potentially. So essentially,
more sun. Yeah. You need more petals so you have more petals, and more petals you have more sun you need, kind of idea as well.
I don't know if it's more sun, but it correlates with enlightenment. Okay. So like if you cannot have the thought is you're not able to have balance potentially in your sacral chakra. You're not able to feel creative and fluid if you don't have security. They're almost building blocks to a certain extent. So you feel grounded and secure. Therefore, you have the ability to be creative and have fluidity and show passion and pleasure. You're then able to say, I know myself well enough. I have this very strong gut intuition. Then it correlates to your heart. I'm able to love. See, you can't, in my opinion, it's hard to love if you're not, it's hard to love and be happy, I should say, if you're not grounded, as well as open to giving and receiving pleasure, as well as having a good sense of self. You have a good gut. You see how it all builds?
Right.
Yeah.
So then, all right, so let me try this then. All right, so.
That's a lot better.
All right, so.
It's the sound the universe makes when all else is quiet.
So after the throat.
Yes, then we move up to the third eye. So this is the purple, the correlation of purple, and it is really more symbolized by what they traditionally are referring to as a 2 indigo petal lotus. And it connects with our sense of wisdom. The third eye is the point between our eyebrows, so it's the point of true enlightenment. It's like a visionary. So if you have a really active third eye, to me, a good example of someone that has a really strong or active third eye is someone that is like a Steve Jobs, someone that 10 years ago saw the opportunity that existed with technology, or someone that today would have. So another example would be someone that is like in a creative position, like a creative CEO, or someone who's like a strategist. They're able to see 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 steps ahead. Like you have the ability, or you have an active third eye that will allow you to see beyond what is real. Now, there's not necessarily a yoga posture, I will just preempt your question, that will correlate with the third eye. But what happens once you've established your root chakra and your sacral, your solar plexus, your heart, your throat? Once you get to the third eye in the crown, it's about connecting with the big S we were talking about in the last episode, the bigger self. So it's less about the small self, the ego, and then it starts to get more connected to the big S, which is the higher self.
That's deep.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I'm not trying to compare myself to Steve Jobs, but I think about the things that you just talked about in terms of like the future, and and one of the things that happens is like I'll let those things fire me up, and then maybe it's like my third eye, if you might say, is too open. But lately I've been like kind of calmed down by writing it down and then just focusing back on circulate. And maybe that's how I'm getting to hopefully I'm getting to my bigger
enlightenment. Yeah, you're exactly. Because like if you have arguably an overactive third eye, you could be a visionary, but you don't see any of those visions through. Like they're glimpses, flashes of opportunity, flashes of light, versus a steady, strong, confident stream of light in this area. And then you have to have the confidence and wherewithal to be able to see it through.
That's funny. So, because one of the things I've been diagnosed with ADD.
Oh.
And I just stopped taking my medicine a month and like maybe 2 months ago.
Okay.
And I've stopped, and it's been okay. And I think one of the things that's helped me is by doing this podcast. And it's kind of like, it's weird. It's like the energy. This is taking up enough energy, like where I'm not everywhere and a lot of
space.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. I think when I have had a couple of younger kids that, I think they were probably in between 12 and 14 that were, clients of mine. Their parents were my clients, and then their parents were doing so good with working with me. They started bringing their daughters, their little girls. And one of the girls had ADD or ADHD. I don't remember exactly what it was.
Yeah, that's it, ADHD.
Yeah, so what we would do, she really struggled with sitting still. Like not even meditation, just sitting still in any posture, any capacity, anything like that. And so what we did in class for her when we were working with her was I brought in a metronome. You know what that is? Like, oh, I'm dating myself. But when I learned to play piano, I had a little metronome that sat on top to keep time. Mm-hmm. And all it really was for her was about something moving. If she felt like something was moving around her, it gave her something to focus on, but it also gave her, like, it relieved a little bit of the anxiety because she saw that movement. Whether it was her body moving or she saw something moving, she really did well with having that metronome there. Mm-hmm. And we actually used it in a very similar way to any other single point focus meditation. So when you do single point focus meditation, you can use a candle, watch the flame, and people that have really open third eyes tend to have struggles with, like, focusing because your vision is so wide. Mm-hmm. You're constantly swiveling. Your head's on a swivel. You're like, oh my God, look at this. Oh my God, look at that. Oh my God, look at that. So single point meditation is actually really, really difficult for people that struggle with focusing or that have ADHD or ADHD. But having that metronome, which is a single point but still movement in it, did wonders for her.
So she just, because when Headspace has helped me, but there's times where I'm just like, some days
You're
I
in
just
and out.
can't.
You're like phasing in and out.
And without him saying, you may be wondering right now, I wouldn't even realize. I'm like, oh, shoot, I am wondering.
Oh, yeah, you were talking to me. I forgot to listen.
Right. So that's where, that's interesting. I got to try that. So I guess.
But let me give you a compliment. People who have very open or active third eye chakras tend to be very wise people and they also tend to be very compassionate people because they're taking in a lot of information. If someone has a very closed or narrow third eye, they tend to be very prescriptive. They don't have the vision. They're not the best leaders. Mm-hmm. So people who are visionaries are wonderful leaders who have that open or active third eye. You just have to make sure it's balanced.
Right. So with that being said, is the balance, does it just consist of just asking the questions? Like, how does it? No,
like there's diet that correlates with the chakras. So if you have a very overactive solar plexus chakra, I would recommend a diet that consisted of colder or cooler foods because, like, that fire in your gut needs to be cooled down with salads or like smoothies, things like that, versus if you had a overactive root chakra, I would not recommend root vegetables, potatoes or carrots or things like that, because those are all literal foods that come from the earth, and you already have too much of that grounding energy in you. You need something that comes from the sky, something that you're pulling from a tree, a berry, a fruit. So there's so much that goes into the chakras.
If I'm self-diagnosing myself, I'll probably eat too much potatoes, and I need to.
If you have a overactive root chakra, then yeah, I would.
Which is like going from
the base of the
one
spine
thing to the next, and is that the one where you're talking about where, like, if it's overactive, you can be flighty and going?
Yes.
Okay.
So you're not as grounded as you likely need to be. So if you are overactive in that regard, then I would say eat potatoes, eat the root vegetables. If you're bouncing from here to here to here, you need something to, I would say, have some chilies, some stews, something that's hearty and warm and going to pull you back down. What it's doing is it's also slowing down your digestion slowly.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. So do you, like, one of the things lately I've realized, like, I kind of let my health go. Mm-hmm. Where I was working and I was trying to finish some tests for work and I was trying to get Circulate going. Mm-hmm. And now I'm like now that it's going, I'm trying to focus back on my health, right? Mm-hmm. And that's like my mental idea of being balanced, where I'm like, oh, this is good, but I feel off a little bit. I need to get back in better health. What would be, Like in that example, how is that moving through the chakras?
Well, you haven't started, I would say.
Yeah, I haven't.
You haven't started. So I think the first thing that you would want to do, like if you were a client and we did an intake, I would need to start with, okay, what are your wellness goals? What is healthy or what is balanced to you? Because balance to me means something totally different to somebody else. Like balance to me does not mean a restrictive diet.
Right.
My balance means moderation. So I, as a wellness instructor, need to understand where is your ultimate goal, so that I understand, okay, these are the steps that we're going to take to get you to that ultimate goal. So Gary, what is wellness for you? What does balance for you mean?
It's funny you said moderation, because that's one of the philosophies within Stoicism. So, for example, it's feeling and looking healthy, but it's also discipline. So one of the things that, for example, Tim Ferriss does is he fasts for 3 days, right? So I've tried to fast.
3 days is a long time. And
I fail like at 1 day. So it's like getting to that point where, all right, fast for 3 days with just water, just water and whatnot. But it's just basically making sure that all things are, as many things as possible, are in tune with what I'm trying to achieve. For example, if I'm saying circulates about becoming your best self, is your best self not having your health in a better, being in better health than I am right now, for example.
Okay. So first off, I would press you to keep going further. I'm going to let you go right now, but like if you were a real client, we were going to keep going. I was going to keep peeling that onion back, because there's a lot to be said about clarity and specificity. Now, one thing that you did say I will focus on, you were talking about determination, and you used fasting as an example. And you said, well, I failed at that 3-day fast. I would say let's be aligned with our heart chakra and show compassion for ourselves and gratitude for the attempt, first of all. I'm grateful for the attempt. You showed a lot of initiative, and quite frankly, 80% of success is showing up. You showed up to take that test. Now, let's work on actually creating achievable results. So if you are determined to win at this fasting bit, I would recommend intermittent fasting. Now, I practice intermittent fasting, but you can develop that competency. So the benefit of intermittent fasting is essentially allowing your digestive system to completely turn over the food that you've placed into it the day before. So it's not eating for 16 hours and eating all of your calories in 8 hours. So if you're going to stop, and you can do it anyway, like you can either skip your breakfast or you skip your dinner, but you eat only within an 8-hour window. And for the remainder of the time, you only consume water. No other calories would be consumed, so smoothies or juices or things like that. It can be difficult for some people to get to 16, so you can, 14 is better than 12, 12 is better than 10. You want to start somewhere, but I would recommend intermittent fasting at the very least to start, if that's a goal for you. I don't even remember where we started.
We were talking about what was my idea of health. Oh,
health. Yeah, you were talking about moderation. See, again, I would ask you to add some clarity and specificity.
I would say it's probably more so that I can do the things I want to do, and then if I'm probably like the guy you talked about before, that I'm in control. So like where if I want to go run 3 miles right now.
Yeah, you feel like you need to be able to do that.
I can run 3 miles. If I want to be able to do 20 pull-ups, I can do 20 pull-ups. If I want to not eat that piece of steak.
So I would definitely say your desire to have that as an outcome it starts to get into the active root chakra territory, the control, like self-control, which self-control is good. You will not eat the whole bag of chips. Right. But some self-control is bad. You will not eat for 5 days.
Right.
You see how the same thing can have really, really strong positive outcomes, and then like, what? I think you're starving yourself.
Right. Okay. So I guess to finish up, are there any other? So we stopped at?
Oh yeah, we didn't even finish. So we got to the third eye chakra, and finally, once you've reached that point on the chakras, on the spine, essentially you're at the crown or the crown chakra, and this is, essentially infinity. It's the ultraviolet color that correlates with the heavens or whatever universe you believe in. It is symbolized by that 1,000-petal lotus flower, and it essentially is about lightness, unity, oneness with the universe. It's about the big S, the big self. Outside of your body, outside of your control, your being is truly about enlightenment and the universe and space.
That's so interesting. I wonder, is there a way? I'm almost would like to connect this to could this be an element within education? Almost it seems like it'll be very useful for a lot of people. I
think it is. I think a lot of the things that I do at Living Lightly, they're not movement-based yoga practice. I do seminars that are learning-based seminars. Like we're pen and paper, sitting down, class of 30, and we're going through a 4-week series on, how to be your best self, how to live your best self. And it's about identifying what your personal best self looks like, creating those strategies, developing the process that correlates to the strategy, and then executing.
Let's talk about that next time.
Okay. Sounds good.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thanks.
Awesome conversation.
Thanks, Gary.
Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed the show. Please feel free to share the show on all your social media accounts and websites, or email friends or any family that you know that might be interested in the story. Please also go to YouTube, iTunes, and other places and subscribe to the show. That would be a big help and helps us get the word out as well. Some other ways you can support the show is by signing up for a Patreon account that supports the show directly. If you go to patreon.com/circulate, there's also a support under the support tab on our website. It'll direct you to the Patreon account. Also, there's a PayPal account that people can make one-time donations. And also on our website, there's a apparel that you can purchase under the shop tab. And in general, I just hope you keep coming back and keep listening. Thank you. See you soon.